check out our first episode. It should be up on our, what do we have? Facebook, right, Bre? Facebook? It's up on?
It's up on Facebook, Twitter, soon to be on our new YouTube channel, and then later on our new Instagram.
Yeah, so actually we might be trying to do like live episodes because I think Zoom allows you to do live like connection. So look for that in the future. Anyways, if you didn't catch the last episode, I'm Robert, and Bre is the awesome co-host with me today. So there was a mix-up of last week. Last week was supposed to be this week's interview, but today our guest is here. We welcome Ian Tierney. He is another veteran scholar here at the university. And why don't you introduce yourself, Ian?
So my name's Ian Tierney. I was in the Marine Corps for just short of 9 years. I'm a first year here at University of Chicago, and I'm the president of the Maroon Veterans Alliance. Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you, Ian. And Bre, if you want to start off some questions, I know we are definitely interested in your military career and what you are doing here at the university.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a great first question. It's probably going to be a long answer, but that's perfect. What brought you here to UChicago?
So I think pretty much like everybody else here, I decided to get out of the military, and I was looking around like, what am I going to do with my life? And should I go work for a government agency? Should I go work for Boeing or some sort of contractor?
Hey, actually, Ian, to back up really quick, I guess, what did you do in the Marines?
Oh, so I did a bunch of things, but most recently I was a non-destructive inspection technician. So I used things like x-rays, ultrasounds, and a bunch of other techniques to inspect metal and ceramics, which obviously, as it sounds, have a lot of correlation to jobs in aviation, specifically in the outside world.
Right. So you had a lot of potential job prospects if you wanted to continue in that line of work.
Exactly. And I think traditionally most NDI technicians get out of the Marine Corps and they take a job doing NDI. It's a pretty lucrative opportunity. And most of the time it's something that you kind of have to work towards. It's not something you can join the military to do. You join as a mechanic of some other kind and then become an NDI technician.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot too in other MOSs, especially, I don't know about for you, Bre, but I know in the Army intel community, it's like a pipeline. It's like you join the military, do your intel career, and then you go right on contracting work. It's just interesting, kind of like that, like not advertised, pipeline that they have there.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, Rob, that's exactly what I did. Actually, when I got out, I went straight to contracting, and I worked as a year as a defense contractor overseas. So
yeah, if no one knows, contracting is big money, but it's unstable. It's like kind of unreliable, I guess. I mean, Bre wants to say anything.
Yeah, and the overseas, just being deployed all the time isn't for everybody. Certainly, it's not for anybody who values time with their family and whatnot. So. Yeah, anyways, sure. Ian, so you were considering your options after you got out.
I hadn't even gotten out yet. I was still in. I don't know how many veterans came straight from service to the University of Chicago, but I got out of the Marine Corps like a week and a half before classes started. So.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And I think Ian, sorry to cut you off. I think you were part of the posse group too, weren't you?
I was. That was part of the transition when I decided I wanted to go back to school. I was Googling some stuff, and I Googled like veterans at Ivy League schools, and 4 or 5 links down the webpage was the Posse Foundation, who at the time,
can you fill me in? Because I didn't go through Posse, and I've heard this term a lot, but what exactly does that organization do?
So Posse, traditionally, they started as an organization partnering with schools to link with underrepresented groups. So it started with like underprivileged youth in inner cities. And then they've expanded and they started a veterans program, I think over like 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
And they initially partnered with schools like Wesleyan and Vassar. And then they had University of Virginia, Dartmouth at one point, and is the University of Chicago up until last year also partnered with them. And they give a different perspective of how to bring students to college. So they bring cohorts of between 10 and 15 people to schools. And because you build this camaraderie before you even show up on campus, it's intended to help support each other get through difficult education isures.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So you found Posse.
I found Posse, or I guess Posse found me. I don't know.
Posse always finds you.
Yeah. One depends on which way you want to look at it. And went through their admissions process, which is a number of interviews and things of that nature. And then found out in November of last year that I got in, and now I'm here.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, and I know that the Posse model for holding interviews is a little non-conventional and a little different compared to traditional universities. But I know the University of Chicago is kind of like a trailblazer in that sense as well, is that they're really doing a good job of changing the way colleges and higher ed conducts these interviews and things like that, especially with the veterans. I mean, I don't know about the other undergraduates, but as far as the veterans, I know it was very different for us compared to the other population.
Yeah, they definitely, I mean, I know that the new initiative that UChicago took on, part of that was changing their admissions process to get their admissions process in regards to veterans, period. So definitely a cool opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ian, you said you're the president of MVA, of course, and I mean, I know that sounds like a big fancy title. What drew you towards MVA, and what sort of made you want to take that on as president?
So when I showed up on campus, I started talking with people and other veterans and some of the advisors here on campus. And one of the things I was really interested in was kind of like what the relationship with veterans and the civilian population, the traditional students is like on campus. And if there's any organizations that were really focused on that. And because veterans are, I think, kind of so new, there wasn't a lot of intermingling or purposeful intermingling. And I just had an issue with that. So I reached out to some people and just we're talking to different people about how we could make that happen. And it was mentioned that there was an organization on campus called the Maroon Veterans Alliance. And so I reached out to their leadership. And unfortunately, they've had some drop-offs in student engagement in the last couple of years. So there's only a handful of members left. And we talked to them about kind of what their mission was and maybe seeing if we could maybe repurpose MVA to bridge the civil military gap. And so the leadership that was in control at that time was on board with that plan. And we really kind of decided to revamp the Maroon Veterans Alliance to be the bridge between veterans and this, bridge that civil military gap.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you saw it as a problem immediately. I would say that the veterans on campus don't really interact at all with the traditional students.
I would say I wanted to give healthy avenues to really get people to engage with one another.
What one of the questions too or one of the things that I found interesting in MVA is what's getting people together is one thing, but the purpose of getting people together, the actual goal. And I think a lot of that is kind of me and Bre were talking about last episode was like kind of dispelling a lot of stereotypes and building a strong community together surrounding the university, and really kind of I know you said bridging the gap, but I feel like it's a little bit deeper than that. I was wondering if you can, kind of speak to the goal, like the main purpose of bringing the two groups together. Like what value is there?
Yeah, I think that, I could talk for a very long time on this. I think there's so many different aspects of this that both communities are missing out on things about each other that could benefit everyone. I know for me personally, I love it just having conversations with people on campus about my experiences and their experiences and kind of how they line up. And like adversely or conversely, I know I came to campus with not the best study skills and being the best student possible, and just being able to talk with other students that had different experiences, even within education. It really helped me to be more successful here. I mean, I learned so many new study habits and study techniques and became a better student because of having interactions with traditional students here on campus. And so I say that just to give preface that I don't think bridging the gap encompasses enough that it's a two-way street. I think that there are things that both communities can really give to one another to help make the University of Chicago community as a whole and the greater community of Chicago and the US and, you know, however big you want to make it, that interaction can help breed so many positive things.
Right. And, you know, the university has a long history of, you know, trailblazers in their own respective fields. And it's almost like the veteran history is just starting to get going. And there's already a plethora of trailblazers veterans at the university and have, you know, graduated and are coming through the ranks again. So I think the goal MVA is pretty spectacular. And like you said, it kind of went through a revamp process. So, you know, basically we're starting to get it going again. And I think this initiative is super important to the university.
Bre, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just agreeing with you, because I think it's important that we consider this gap, this discourse, as benefiting both groups, both veterans and the non-veterans. And it's not just us veterans saying, oh, look, I have such great wisdom and perspective to give to you, because that's not what it is. That's not what it is. We all have valuable perspective, and we need to share that with each other. That's the important thing.
Right. Sure. And I know I emphasized it last episode, but I'll say it again. Just because it's the Maroon Veterans Alliance does not mean it's just for veterans. I'm sure Ian will touch on this, but we welcome everybody on campus to come participate and join. I mean, hey, you'll even be on a podcast one day, but yeah. So, I mean, we welcome everyone.
It's true. It's true. I mean, can't bridge the gap from one side. I guess you theoretically could, but that's neither here nor there. I think that really the whole purpose was to create these interactions, and you can't do that if there's just veterans. So exactly what you're saying, Rob. We want everybody. If you come from middle of nowhere, Indiana, or, you know, a big city, if you are, you know, a big fan of soccer or football, it doesn't matter. We want everybody to come hang out with us and just give each other different opportunities to learn.
I know that sounds like traditional military recruiters, but we're not. I promise you're not signing a contract to sign your life away, but just come on down. It's a good time. Promise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're just here to exchange ideas and perspectives in the traditional UChicago discursive way.
Absolutely.
You know, something I want to, so what exactly is, what's your declared major if you have one right now? Or like, what are you leaning towards?
I'm leaning towards business economics, as well as theater and the performing arts.
You give, you know, some perspective on that, I guess, like what interested you in those fields? So
when I was in the Marine Corps, so to give perspective on economics, when I was in the Marine Corps, I started a number of businesses and small businesses. And I just really enjoyed.
Are they still going? Are they still active, or you had a closed down shop?
No, the first two didn't go very well, frankly. And they're pretty funny. The failures that I had, just because they were learning experiences, but like,
yeah,
I knew nothing. That's why I needed to get an education. And then the third one, I sold before getting out of the military. And then I came here and I really wanted to continue in business, which really spurred me towards business economics. And then I had no interest. I mean, theater and acting and nothing like that I'd ever done in my whole life. And the University of Chicago has what they call the core. And you have to take classes from across a broad spectrum of backgrounds. And one of those is the arts. And so I took an acting class and I kind of fell in love. It was awesome. And
that is so cool.
Yeah. And I think that I'm going to try to major in theater and the performing arts with a focus on acting.
That's awesome. I actually think I put a bid in for that class for the spring quarter. So we'll see if I get lucky. But I mean, it sounds great what you've been describing. But I was wondering, obviously just talk about as much as you want, but like, what were the businesses, like what were the passions behind those businesses that you kind of went into prior?
So the first one, I had no real interest in entrepreneurship or starting a business. I was 19 and sitting in a barracks room in Hawaii with like 15 other dudes, like half of them, like 6 of them laying in one rack, just a big mess of dudes. We were watching Role Models.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everybody's seen that, but in it, it's these 2 gentlemen get in trouble, and then to do their community service because they got in trouble, they have to be a big brother. And to one of the little brothers is into what's called LARPing, which is live action role playing, which is basically just beating the tar out of one another with foam weaponry.
Yeah, we're intelligence nerds, Ian. We understand.
Yeah, we still do that on like every Saturday night. We still do that.
Yeah, exactly. But we were all sitting there and we were like, I joked that I didn't want to do like the role playing. Like I didn't need to be a character in order to just beat the tar out of one another with foam swords. It sounded awesome, right? Like who wouldn't want to beat their boss up with a foam sword?
Yeah, sounds great.
And so I started a company, trying to model it after like Knockerball, where like we would go to events and things of that nature and set up foam swords and shields and
yeah.
And that didn't go well.
You'd be good learning experience.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised how expensive those foam swords are. They are very expensive. So did that, didn't go well. And then I started an event-based company. So I was a bartender for a number of years when I lived in San Diego. And I just started to get some of my other friends who were bartenders, and we would rent ourselves out to people for like Christmas parties and birthday parties and things of that nature. So did that, and that went better. But
improvement.
Learn from the experience. And
traveling bartenders sounds like a pretty good gig. You should have done that. You should have held out until COVID came. You would have got a lot of business.
Yeah. It was fun though. I had a lot of fun, went to some beautiful homes and some beautiful places and met some interesting people. So definitely a learning experience, and I thought it was worthwhile. And then I started an apparel company, focused on military, like skivvy shirts, like the undershirts that every military member wears under their uniform. And I tried to put different designs and events and things of that nature to those shirts and selling those. And that went much, much better.
That's good. I mean, you should start selling some Ranger panties. And if no one knows what those are, they're super comfortable shorts that are pretty short, but
not pretty short, Rob. They're very short. That's the key.
They're worth the investment and everything. But we appreciate you giving us some backstory to that. Ian, I was, kind of to wrap things up, we're kind of getting close to time, but what are some future events on the horizon for MVA? What's the plan?
So MVA is kind of in the works of doing a bunch of things right now. So we have a philanthropic event that we're trying to put together, that is going to provide COVID relief bags for homeless veterans. So we're doing
that's great.
that
That's great.
in partnership with some other organizations like the Elks Lodge. And then we're trying to organize a speaker series to get some interesting people to come speak to the civil military bridge or gap and how we can bridge that, as well as working on a docu-series of kind to hopefully kind of share some of the perspectives from people around campus and people from the UChicago community. Yeah.
That's awesome. It sounds all really exciting.
Yeah, that sounds like sounds like the right direction to go when you're trying to bridge the gap. And I know for the podcast, we have plans in the works as well. The podcast is affiliated with MVA directly, and that's another initiative that they're doing. And, we have guests coming on in the future, a lot of guests actually, not just within MVA, but outside, faculty and other veterans within the community. But yeah, those sound like really good initiatives. I know some other charity work has been talked about, doing some, maybe fundraisers or some getting in touch with like local homeless shelters or, things like that. But yeah, definitely check out the MVA if you haven't. I'm sure the link to the website will be underneath the video, wherever it's posted. And, you can reach out to Ian. I know he sees the messages, and reach out to me. I'm sure Bre and I will be more than willing to talk to you about any questions you have pertaining to MVA.
Always.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're trying to schedule an open house for the spring as well. So maybe we can put the link in here for the Zoom link for that.
We can absolutely do that.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I think that just about does it for today's episode, but definitely want to thank Brianna, and then thank you, Ian, for joining us today. It was awesome, picking your brain about certain things and talking to you about some personal topics, but, thank you for joining us. If, like I said, you check us out on, Facebook, it'll be posted, soon to be Twitter and other accounts. Definitely check us out there. The videos right now are planned every other week. So not next week, but the following week, we'll have another episode out, and you'll meet a guy by the name of Truman Custer. He is the only Coast Guard guy that we have. So he's next up. But thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Till next time.
Thanks, guys.
See you, everyone.
Thank you for tuning to this week's episode of the MVA podcast. You can catch us every 2 weeks for new guests and topics. You can also head on over to our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channel to find the latest updates and content from the MVA.